After selling over 2 million books over the last 20 years, I get messages every day from people all over the world. The number one question they ask is, how do I get off this financial roller coaster? I've got credit card debt, I've got a mortgage, I've got car payments, I have alimony payments, my kids have to go to college, it's very expensive, I'm never gonna get off this financial roller coaster, help me, what do I do? Here's the answer. If you're taking notes, write this down and never forget it, please. Making money means solving problems. The bigger problem you solve, the richer you get. That's it. That's the answer. I wrote about this years ago in How Rich People Think, and it went all over the world, and people freaked out and said, there's just no way it could be that simple. Well, it is that simple. Is it easy? Not exactly, but it's probably easier than you think. We're talking about solving your financial problem, no matter how much debt you're in the next 3 to 5 years. Imagine that, okay? So how do you do it? You look at the problem you're currently solving in your job or in your business and say, how can I direct my efforts toward solving a larger problem with the same thing I'm doing every single day? I'll give you an example. 30 years ago, I was teaching tennis and mental toughness to my students, and I was also working with other athletes in mental toughness. I never made more than $40,000 a year. I had credit card debt, had a mortgage, had car payments like everybody else, and there was no way out of it. So I got some mentorship, and they said basically what I just told you, to direct my mental toughness training toward a bigger problem. So long story short, I found out that corporate sales teams in large, huge companies have regions that they need to have turned around, low performing and mid performing teams. And if I could increase sales by $50 to $100 million within 12 to 18 months, I could charge millions of dollars for that service. And that's the thing I did for the next 25 years. The same exact work I was doing for $40,000 a year was now paying me millions. That's it. Okay, now I'll give you an example. Someone who made way more money than I ever made was a guy that solved the bigger problem than I solved. His name's Marcus Lemonis. You might have seen him on CNBC in the show The Profit. He's a genius. He actually turns around entire companies. I don't do that. I just work with sales teams. That's my expertise. I don't have that skill to turn around whole companies like that. That's Marcus Lemonis, who's made, way more money than I have. So he solves a bigger problem than me. He makes more money. I solve a smaller problem. I make less money. Luckily, it's enough for me. But you have to look at what size problem you can possibly solve to correlate with the money that you want to make. That's all you have to do. If you'll do this in 3 to 5 years, you could be completely financially free. I've told this to people all over the world. A lot of people have done it. I get messages about that every day as well. Not as many, but I get messages about that. You can totally do this. You don't have to be a genius. You just have to focus your mental energy on solving a bigger problem.